Hi knitters. I think this will be a fun way to be able to stay connected this winter as I get ready to cast on for my first sweater project of the year. I've chosen to make a pattern by Alicia Plummer. Tara has knitted some of her things. I've knitted some of her things. We think she does a really nice job in the simplicity of the details. It's not too overwhelming. This happens to be a top-down cardigan, which I think will be great for your first sweater project. Also, it's got enough interest in it that I think it'll hold our attention. It's not going to be miles and miles of stockinette. There's going to be some interest details that come through in it. So I think it'll be a fun knit for everybody. So I want to just give you, I guess, a little beginner's video here and tell you how it's going to work. I'm going to post segments of the sweater so you can go exactly to the segment you need versus having to scroll through a bunch of unwanted things that you don't really care to listen to or want to watch. I hate to leave out a lot of details because I know a lot of you this will be your first time through, and I definitely want to provide you with the support you need. So if it's not relevant to you, skip ahead and find the parts that are. First of all, we've got our pattern. It's by, like I said, it's Wyeth. It's by Alicia Plummer. Looks like it's probably going to hit about mid-hip, which I think is pretty awesome. Seems like that's something that a lot of customers want. Size-wise has been my #1 question that people have come in and wanted to know, what size do you think I should make? I'm going to read off the yardage requirements here. It's 890 or 880, which I believe would be an extra small, 980, which would be a small, 1180, which would be a medium, 1380, I'm going to call a medium large because there are so many people that fall in between the category of medium and large, and they miss either way. So I feel like she stuck us an extra one in here. 1580 would be the large, and 1780 would be an extra large. Now on every pattern, there's always a schematic. Check the measurements on that and see how those kind of fit up to your body. There is some ease that is built into this pattern. So that means it's not gonna stick real close to your body, that it should come away from it just a little bit. A lot of times people want overlaps on their cardigans. This, I believe, is made so that the fronts meet. So keep that in mind as you're knitting. I also think as we're knitting, we'll be able to adjust the sleeves just a little bit, because from the top down, the beauty of it is you can try it on or put it around your shoulders and see how it's going. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get your yarn selected if you haven't already. You can tell from the measurements here what requirements you're going to need. I have chosen to do what I'm going to call that medium large point. It's going to be 1380, so that's the yardage that I'm shooting for. The first thing I did was play with my yarn. I've learned to really love swatching, and it's something that I want to make you love too. The results are fun. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your knitting techniques. You also learn a lot about even the needles that you choose to knit with. We will see from my swatches here that I love to swatch, so I kind of overdid it. So I swatched with one needle, wasn't happy, did a little division here where I've knitted a purl row, swatched with another needle, still wasn't totally thrilled, and I'll explain to you what I did here. The pattern calls for a size 7 needle, and they want you to get 20 stitches in a 4-inch area. For you to sit down and cast on 20 stitches and then go ahead and knit the required rows, which in this point is 24 rows, and then see if it equals out to be a 4-inch square, that's a shot in the dark. I feel like your edge stitches curl. It's just going to be really hard unless you lay it out and pin it to get it just right. I would rather do an oversized swatch and measure out my 4 inches in the middle of it. Then I get a real feel for how does this fabric move? Does it feel like it's going to be good on my body? Is it something that's going to feel good up next to my skin? That part in my swatching proved, yes, I love the yarn that I've picked out. Not quite happy with the gauge that I was getting. So I did a metal needle, size 7. my gauge is too big. It actually, though, was right before I blocked it. When I blocked it, it grew. So it is so, so, so important that you take the time to stick your swatch into like a cup of water, tap water, let it set for 20 minutes, take it out, squeeze the water out of it, and then just lay it out on the counter. I don't pin it. I might smooth it out, you know, so I can see that the stitches kind of settled into their place, and see what kind of stitch definition I was getting. But I don't sit and stretch it or move it around a lot. I just want to see what the water did to it and what the end result was. 9 times out of 10, you will get a softer material after blocking than you have when you are knitting. So many people come into the store and they feel a yarn and they think, ooh, that feels a little stiff or a little scratchy. Lots and lots of times there's a little bit of sizing that is on it, and once you've blocked it, it softens and just kind of flows into fabric. So pretty cool. But wasn't crazy about this one, so I'm going to put it off to the side. I have another one here that I have done, and I played with stitches on it. I did a little seed stitch here at the top, did my rib at the bottom, because after all, this is a representation of my finished project. So what if I like the stockinette material, but I hate the way it did rib? You know, I won't know until I try. So like I said, I learn a lot about myself. On this particular swatch, I learned that I'm going to need to go down to a size 6 to get the appropriate gauge to make a size that fits. Yes, I could have gone ahead and I could have used my other needle and I could have used that other swatch, but I would have had to flex the pattern choices that I made, or I would end up with something that was just too large for what I wanted in the end. Something else I learned about myself is that with this particular yarn, a carbon needle seems to be my best choice. It has a nice metal tip. The carbon on it kind of slows the yarn down from like sliding off so fast, and I felt like my tension looked a little better and I had a little less of the division that happens in stockinette where you get some rowing out. That's just me. Everybody's different. People come into the shop all the time and they ask, well, what's the best needle? There are best needles for best situations. There are best needles for best yarns. And it's just really hard for me to sell someone one needle and say, you know, this is your needle. You're going to love it. You know, you won't ever need another one. It just isn't the case. There's all kinds of tools for lots of projects. Same thing for knitting. Okay. Now you're going to need to, after your swatch dries, you're going to need to measure it and see how many stitches to the inch that you are getting. My goal is to get 5, because 5 stitches to an inch would be exactly what she's calling for in the pattern. Now, I'm not going to take that measurement from just one spot. I'm going to move around and I'm going to take it from different spots. And I'm going to see if I'm consistently 5 stitches to the inch. A lot of times I do move in away from the edges. I feel like my edge stitches tend to be a little tighter. That's why I don't like the little 4-inch swatch that we were talking about earlier. I use a ruler when I'm doing this. You need a hard edge to be able to lay on your row, and then you can count the little V's that are going between the inch marks and see how many that you're getting. And yes, count quarter stitches, count half stitches, count 3/4 stitches. The 1/8 of an inch stitch, kind of fudge on that. That could be, you know, maybe how you were holding the yarn. But in order to get the garment that the designer was intending for you to get, these are the steps that you need to follow. A little bit of homework will make you super happy in the long run. I will follow up with this video as we delve into the first steps of the cardigan, and I've already started it and I'm anxious to show that to you. I just don't want to overwhelm you with a whole bunch at once. So watch what you need, and in between time, happy swatching. See ya.